Do men cheat due to the Coolidge effect? What is the Coolidge effect? Let's see. The Coolidge effect. The Coolidge effect is a biological phenomenon that describes when a male animal resumes sexual behavior after being presented with a new partner, even after becoming sexually satiated with a previous partner. It's named after a joke about visiting President Calvin Coolidge and his wife to a chicken farm where the president was told that the rooster mated with a different hen each time. Yeah, that would be why I didn't know what that meant. That would be, so essentially what you're saying is it's variety. And I think that's another thing that Dr. David Buss really, again, is another way of sort of dismissing the male sexual response. Okay. Men cheat because they're not getting fucked. You want to know why? Was it 70% of evangelical Christian men report being addicted or having some sort of problem with digital pornography? It's because their wives aren't fucking them. When I listen to Candace Owens say, we need to ban pornography on every level, and it's not just her too, there's other people saying the same thing. I'm like, imagine that world. First of all, it's like saying we should ban all drugs, right? And what is Chris Rock would say is like, it doesn't matter. People will like find ways, like people become scientists to find ways to get high. You could take away all the drugs in the world and people will find ways to like sort of like, distill a banana peel into some sort of like, hallucinogenic. They'll find ways because people want to get high and people want to get laid. So who gets to decide what's pornography? Who doesn't get to decide what's pornography? What's sexy? What's not sexy? Are we going to ban hormonal birth control? Or are we going to, which variety? Because there's got to be 21 different kinds of hormonal birth. Is it Norplant? Is it this pill or this pill? What is it? Tell me how we're going to do it. And the long and the short of it is this, is that you're essentially saying that women wish that men didn't have the sexual response or the sexual experience that they do. And as I said before, and I think I've mentioned this on Access Vegas recently, until women are like steeped in 12 to 17 times the amount of serum testosterone that they normally have in their bodies, until they have that, they will never understand the male sexual response. Why is sex so important? If a woman ever tells you this, if you ever hear this come out of a woman's mouth, I don't understand why sex is so important to guys. Believe her and leave and get out. That she's telling you exactly what's on her mind. I don't understand why guys. She's not asking a question. She doesn't want you to answer that. She's telling you she doesn't want to fuck you. That's what it is. I don't understand why. Oh, you only want me for sex. Anytime you hear that come out of a woman, eject. Not automatic next. You just want me for sex. Yes, I do. I want you for other things as well. But if that's not part of the deal, sayonara. Because that's what defines the relationship between a man and a woman. That's what defines it. As I said, sex. And by the way, somebody who was it? I think it was Sadia Khan. Sadia Khan. I want my residual check because sex is the glue that holds a relationship together. At the very least,
you're goddamn right. Say my name.
Say my name. If you're gonna quote me, please, especially you. Red Pill is open source, but if you're gonna like directly lift my own quotes, then like at least a tribute, please. While I'm alive. When I die, you can say you came up with that. I probably won't give two shits, right? So anyways, yeah. Getting back to that whole thing with the validational and the transactional sex, if all anyone knows is sex, if the only frame of reference somebody has for sex is transactional, and they've never experienced a woman who has like genuine desire, like fuck the shit out of me, genuine desire. Eddie Murphy was it? Would you rather be with a chick that says, make love to me, Eddie, or fuck the shit out of me, Eddie? Like that. You want the fuck the shit out of me, Eddie girl. That's the difference. That's the difference. One is an obligation. One comes with attachments. One is based on on an exchange. As I was saying before, the most amount of ass I ever got in my life was when I was at my poorest, man. It had nothing to do with, but it certainly didn't have anything to do with the money. Because I didn't have any, and I didn't have any affluence. I didn't have, I mean, other than being in a band, I guess maybe I had some status, but I had a look. And maybe I had some I definitely had pre-selection because women talk, men do. but yeah. So when we're talking about validational versus like transactional, I always think about, I remember this one gig I was at, and it was pretty good. It was a summer gig, and we were playing, I think it was kind of like a festival kind of thing that we were doing. And it was the first time like I was almost late for our stay for our call, because between getting up to the stage and like from where we were back, like sort of like doing our warm-ups and everything, like we had already just been hanging out for half the day, I got pulled into the female bathroom by two chicks. And that's when I found out the difference between validational sex and transactional sex. And that was like I was saying before, I've used that one video of that one girl who's saying like, there's three different kinds of guys. There's the guys who are never going to get laid. There's the guys who are always going to get laid, the 4.5% guys. And then there's going to be the 20% guys. The guys in the 20% are the guys who only have a frame of reference, a transactional frame of reference when it comes to sex. Guys in the 4.5%. And by the way, you can be in the 4.5% and then slip into the 20%. Or you can be in the 20% and you can improve yourself up to a point where you maybe are like kissing the edge of being in that 4.5%. A lot of people say, well, you're stuck either way, one way or the other. No. Like, for instance, right now, I would not call myself being in the 4.5%. I mean, I'm in good shape for my age and everything like that, but I've been married for 28 years and I just live a different lifestyle, right? I mean, it'd be nice to be able to be able to get my, my suck now and then, but it's like that's not like a priority, and I'm not going to cheat on my wife, right? But back when I was 22 years old, I was most definitely in the 4.5%, at least for a brief moment, like for probably a few years, 3 or 4 years, because I had that look that women want. I was playing a character that women wanted to get with, and it had nothing to do with money or my home furnishings were not purchased at Bed Bath and Beyond. My spool was not a Bed Bath and Beyond purchase, trust me. But it was because that's how it was. Women didn't care whether I had money or not. They just knew I was a starving musician. But I can't say that there wasn't any prestige or there wasn't any kind of like social proof or pre-selection. There certainly was, but that pre-selection wasn't generated from money. And so when people start talking about transactional versus validational, that's one of the reasons why I look at this shit and I look at mate switching hypothesis and I realize that it is all based on one thing, which is the long-term security side of women's dualistic, pluralistic mating strategy. Alpha fucks, beta bucks. Alpha fucks is that guy that she just can't fucking wait to fuck. Most men will never, and I'm saying never, in their whole fucking lifetime, will never experience that kind of visceral lust desire to want, like, fuck the shit out of me, Eddie. They will never experience that. And because of that, their only frame of reference is, well, women just want a guy who's like a stand-up guy who's got a good job and he goes to church on Sundays and he's a leader of men and he's a servant leader in the church and they'll turn him into like, the bastion of masculine hope, but it's all based on responsibility. It's all based on what they think. And again, it's duty and obligation. As I said, you don't owe women a better life, but if all you ever knew was a transactional frame of reference for sex, then it seems like that's the owing or delivering a woman a better life is the way to get sucked. That's what it is. And so when I listen to it, I see like Dr. David Buss writing books like, Men Behaving Badly. And those men who behave badly, the Tinder swindlers, they get fucking laid. They are the guys who fuck. They didn't have to do anything. The fact they can just make, like the guy who developed that server program, the parallel live, and then the Riz, that guy, like this is a guy who doesn't fuck, but he figured out how to fuck. And the reason why women get pissed off at this guy is because he figured out the psychology. And you know what? That psychology, it confounds to the core. All this bullshit about money and affluence. And so you can manufacture social proof pre-selection. You can manufacture at least the appearance of value. And you know why guys like Justin Waller and the rest of these guys get really pissed off at pickup artists? Because it works. It works. They didn't have to earn that. They're not really like that. Who fucking care? Don't care. Got laid. That's what it is. That's why parallel whatever live exists. That's why the Riz exists. That's why Chat GPT works for nuclear caudillo. That's why it works for him. They're not mad at the guy for figuring that shit, having the innovation and having the creativity and the cleverness to figure that out. You know what they're mad at? They're mad that they had to do they're actually the legitimate real deal, and they had to put in get their pay their dues and get their chops done. And that guy didn't have to do shit. Imagine if I could find some way to convince every woman on planet Earth that I am and I look like and I have all the resources and assets of a guy like Justin Waller. You'd be pretty pissed off. Be really pissed off because you didn't have to work for it. You didn't earn it. But it doesn't matter because women's nature doesn't care whether you earned it or not. Remember what Rich Cooper said. Women don't care about men's struggles. They wait at the finish line and they fuck the winners. And if it looks like that guy's a fucking winner, they're going to suck as much as a loser who looks like a winner. And that's what you're really pissed off about. That's what these guys, that's what the evolutionary psychology gatekeepers, the guys like fucking David Buss, the rest of these dudes, the reason why they got to come up with these hairball fucking hypothesis and only focus on the long-term security aspects of women's sexual instead of their like visceral sexual nature is because they have no frame of reference for alpha fucks. They've never been pulled into the women's bathroom and had two chicks at the same time. They never had that happen to them. That's why they don't know this. That's why they don't write books about how to get your by two chicks. They don't write those books. They write, oh, men behaving badly, and then, oh, well, women really need guys who are responsible and take ownership and they want to be good, upstanding members of society. But you know what? Those aren't the guys they're fucking in the foam cannon party in Cancun. Simple as that, man. And you know what? Those are the guys who believe that, the guys who follow along with that, and they don't recognize the alpha fuck side of it. You got to balance this out. You have to understand both sides of female nature, or female mating strategy, I should say. And when you don't, and when you ignore the alpha fuck side at the expense, or you only focus on the beta buck side at the expense of the alpha fuck side, you're at a disadvantage. You know why? Because you're going to be simping for your wife, and you're going to end up being in a fucking friend-zoned marriage. And you're going to think that's great. You're going to be convinced that you're a swell guy. You're not like other guys because you feed your kids and you keep the electricity on and you keep the heat on in the house and your fucking furnishings come from Bed Bath and Beyond. Meanwhile, she fucked this guy. And by the way, and if you don't keep that up, she's going to get with the next guy who can. The next guy with more prestige than you, the next guy with more, because when you just have a transactional frame of reference for sex, then yeah, you better stay on top of your game till the day you die, motherfucker. Because if you slip once, if you have one oh shit erases 10 attaboys, you have one oh shit, you're gone, man, because there's 10 other attaboys that want to fuck her right there. Or she's got at least half of these girls, half of these women have a backup plan. And guess what? You one oh shit. No, I got to break glass. It's emergency. Let's go get Jim. He's going to now. If you don't understand the alpha fuck side of hypergamy, you're fucking lost, man. And that's exactly what these guys are doing. They're pointing, oh yeah, you need to be a good, or then it's like about emotion. It's about love. You owe them you owe them a better life if you're in love with them. There's never been a more male way of thinking about that because men's concept of love is idealistic. Women's concept of love is opportunistic. And I'm not saying that as like a dig on women or trying to like piss you off about that, but opportunism is that's really the only word that serves. If I could find something that had a little bit that less negative connotations, I might. But it's opportunism. Women don't marry a man. Don't want to marry a man. They want to marry a fucking lifestyle. And you know how I know that? Because all I got to do is go look at mate switching hypothesis, and it fucking backs that up every time. I don't think guys like David Buss and Alex from Date Psych and the rest of these guys who are like really invested in mate switching hypothesis really realize how much they're bolstering the black pill, or how much they're reinforcing this idea that women are just these women are gold. Every woman is a gold digger by order of degree. I don't believe that. I don't think they are. I think a lot of validational sex and validational intimacy can become transactional if you don't realize that good relationships are built on polarity and maintaining identity and being the guy who's like has mental point of origin and understands that helping himself is how he can help others best. I trust myself well enough and I understand myself well enough. And I think I have the confidence to say, I'm going to make decisions for me. And those decisions that I make for me are going to be what's best for my wife, my dogs, my daughter, my mother-in-law, my fucking Sambata, my whoever else is dependent on me in some way, shape, or form. If I'm making a decision to start a new podcast, or if I'm working with someone new, or if I go to Dr. Phil, or if I go and start a new podcast studio in Las Vegas, and I can see the future and I can sort of like look and say that this is a good investment and this is not. If I think it's a good investment, guess what? And I nail it and I do good with it. Guess who else benefits? Because I thought of me first. Everybody else surrounded me. Everybody who else is associated with me. And you know what? If I say that outright, I'm an asshole. If I go and I say, and I'm A-okay with that, Aaron Clary, just fine with that.